let's get to Nick Wright. Because people like to use the term Nick wrong, and sometimes I get it. But this guy is a LeBron supporter. He is one of the
That's
most.
a nice way of saying it.
You'd be nice. He's an articulate. He's the most. He is probably the smartest LeBron supporter I've ever seen. Like when in his first thing with going on Skip Bayless's Undisputed show, and is completely crushing him in the Jordan LeBron debate. I was okay, cool. This is like this guy's really good. So he has now become a very popular figure in sports. Like when he's following on Twitter and YouTube and all that, it's getting up there as like the top. So this stuff's going to matter to people. He did a list, the top 50 basketball players of the final 50 years, and we're finally at number 3. It's not Kareem, it's not LeBron, it's the other guy, it's Michael Jordan. Now, Nick has been very adamant saying recently, like Michael Jordan pre-winning a ring was actually looked like a better player sometimes. Like he had almost better numbers, you could argue. And then he prefaced that because obviously this was coming, and it's number 3 on his list. I know everyone's saying, well, it's clickbait. Stop saying that, guys. Like when I support Daniel Jones, I'm not doing it for clicks. Stop saying that. That's just stupid. There's some guys who can obviously, like people on Twitter, the little guys with the athlete emojis, those guys are doing it for clicks and likes. People with their credibility on the line, like Skip Bayless, I've looked at his personal stuff. He believes what he says. He believes it. Now, debate television might call for, them being topic. Does not mean they don't believe what they're talking about here. So I'm actually with Nick Wright. I will never say Kareem is better than Michael Jordan. But in my list, on Mike said first, like 2 years ago on 12 on Sports, Aaron, did you know that I put Wilt Chamberlain number 2 and Michael Jordan number 3? I put Wilt. I would never put Kareem because I don't believe a post-hook shot magician as much points as he did score, as much rebounds, as much championships, blah, blah, blah. But to me, there's a point here because it's longevity. And greatest of all time, sorry, kind of hurts Michael Jordan sometimes. He's not top 10 in anything besides points per game. But come on now. I'm sorry. Well, I can see Nick's point. Oh, I don't agree with it.
Well, here's the question, though. I mean, I'm looking at Nick's list, and there's 2 spots left. Obviously, number 2 and number 1. And I don't see Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oh, okay. 50 years. Okay. Yeah, then fair enough. That's probably why he did that, so he could take Wilt off the list here.
Good point.
But I'm sorry. To me, first and foremost, like, these lists are just ridiculous. Just because you come up with one, it is absolutely clickbait. The NBA has released their 75 players of all time. Who else lists actually matter? Not Skip, not Shannon, not Nick Wright, I don't even care if Michael Jordan made a list. Those lists don't matter. The NBA came out with what they believe is the top 75 players of the last 75 years. And that's the only one that matters. Because every single person's going to have an opinion. I mean, what happens if, I don't know, just give me a basketball head. Rick Bucher comes out and says Larry Bird's the best player of all time.
Right.
If that's what he believes, who gives a damn? I don't trust this list because I'm a Michael guy, but I'm not an anti-LeBron guy. I think he is his career is a bit ridiculous when it comes to all-time situations here. I mean, like, look, here's a situation where I love this post because I know you're going to hate it, but the 2002-2003 Wizards, led by Michael Jordan, won 37 games with Tyronn Lue, Jerry Stackhouse, and Kwame Brown. The 2021-22 Lakers, with Hall of Famers Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, won 33 games. I know, injuries, all this other stuff. Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Does that not matter?
But I mean, how does that team at any given time not go 500? They weren't all injured. AD is garbage.
Here's what I ask when people ask that. LeBron averaged 30 points a game and I want high efficiency. And I ask people this is a genuine question, because it's not really an argument point, it's just a question. What more should LeBron have done?
It doesn't
I just
matter.
want to
The
know.
point matter.
It wasn't like it was garbage time. I just want to know what LeBron should have done to make him better and make his team win 4 more games. I just want to know.
Win 4 more games.
Well,
That's all it is.
not, but there has to
Not
be a
get
reason.
hurt. What good is LeBron James at in his 20th season if he can't play half the season?
He played like 50 games though.
Yeah, and then he sat out the games that mattered the most when they were freaking on the cusp of missing the playoffs at 33 wins.
But we knew they were going to. But see, when Jordan came back a few times and patted, so he could average 20 points a game for another season. LeBron would have been crucified had he come back and played those games and won the scoring title, but missed the playoffs.
Maybe, maybe not. The fact of the matter is if he's winning the scoring title, they're probably going to win those games. And everybody knew if they got into that play-in game or that 8th seed, you never quite knew what could happen in the playoffs.
I would agree with that.
I'm not even saying they would have lost. I'm saying you get in, and that's all that matters sometimes.
That's true.
Sometimes just getting in is all that matters.
Patrick Beverley, the Timberwolves won the championship.
They might win it this year.
And they shipped him off.
I mean, the thing is I'm a Michael guy, so putting LeBron over Michael to me is blasphemy. Nick Wright's a LeBron guy. You're a LeBron guy. So you guys are always going to do that. Nothing will ever change it. So honestly, largely, and I know what's going to happen. Nick Wright's going to put LeBron 2 and Kareem 1. Kareem is 1 of, I don't think so. I think he's going to put Kareem 1.
You think? That's a good. Hey, I'll be impressed.
Kareem is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Look, I'm not even 100% sure Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, but I do believe in the LeBron versus Michael debate. I believe it's Michael. I believe Bill Russell's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Yes, he played in a different era. I believe Kareem as well, Wilt Chamberlain. There's so many guys that dominated a league so much more than LeBron and Michael did.
Agreed.
Was their league a little different? Back in the day, that's not an argument you can ever have because that's just the way life works. Eras are eras. If Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in today's era, maybe he dominates it, maybe he doesn't. There's no bigs that could stop Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in today's era. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if he played in Shaq's era, maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an afterthought because he's not on the Lakers, and 2, he's not the greatest big man of his era. I mean, to me, I think Shaq and Hakeem are 2 of the best big men I've ever seen play. But that's because I watched them play when I enjoyed the NBA. And they were incredible. I think Kobe is a phenomenal player. I never really watched Larry Bird, but I hear he's phenomenal. Like, Steph Curry, for me, is he a top 10 player of all time? No, I don't think he's better than some of the guys below him. Kevin Durant, some of the guys that I've seen. I don't think he's better than Giannis and
Agreed.
Giannis. And I don't think he's better than, I don't think he's better than Dirk, but that's my opinion. I saw him play. I haven't seen a ton of Steph Curry, but what I have watched, I don't think he's better than some of the guys below him. But this isn't my list. And my list, just like Nick Wright's list, doesn't matter.
The reason I had Wilt so high on my list was because there's videos of him blocking Kareem's skyhook, and that just never happened. I also have seen the head-to-head numbers between him and Russell. Yeah, Russell won, but Wilt was on it was like the LeBron thing. Like he was on horrible teams, and like his numbers compared to Russell in the finals were just like all-time dominating Russell. Sure. But it wasn't like the championship. But I think I like the list for the conversation, but I have to hear the right arguments for people. And you made a good one. I have to hear the right arguments from people. I think Nick Wright has made enough arguments that I can agree with his takes.
And he can argue till he's blue in the face, but it's just like politics. Like when you have a firmly entrenched opinion on something, there is little to nothing that is going to change your mind. That's to me, if you asked me who I would have to put number 1 of people I've seen, like it's so hard. Like Nick Wright wasn't around for freaking, Bob McAdoo and Bill Russell and all these other guys. Like, of course he's going to say the last 50 years, but even he's not even 50 years old. Like it's even hard to take a list like that seriously when guys like for me, the greatest player of all time, most dominant player in basketball history for me is Shaquille O'Neal. Minus the free throw shooting, he's the most dominant player. Too, actually. 100%. He's the most dominant player I have ever seen. And Hakeem was a close second because they were both pretty damn awesome at what they did. Minus the free throw shooting for Shaquille O'Neal. But you just like talking about transcendence to a game and changing just the fact that even in an era of big men, he was so far above and beyond all the rest of the big men he played with, including Hakeem. Shaquille O'Neal is the best player.
And won 2 Finals MVPs.
Yeah. So to me, he's the best player of all time. But
wow,
he is to me.
I'm a Heat fan. I'll take it.
And again, it ultimately doesn't matter what I think, but watching who I've watched play, I've never watched Moses Malone or Julius Erving. I watched a little bit of Magic Johnson, and that was mostly replays, and Larry Bird's mostly replays, and they're awesome to watch. But like Jason Kidd, I don't think Jason Kidd belongs on this list just because he has a ton of assists. But like you have Jason Kidd number 27 and Steve Nash number 40, like I think those should be flipped.
Good point.
I don't think Russell Westbrook should be ahead of Steve Nash just because he's a walking stat machine. I think Steve Nash is one of the best point guards I ever watched of all time.
I like Steve Nash. I like Jason Williams too, but he doesn't have longevity or consistency.
And to say Luka Doncic is one of the top 20 players of all time, he's phenomenal. That's
the playoff argument.
But he just hasn't done it enough. He's been in the league, 5 years?
4.
Yeah, 4 years, and we're looking at basically the what have you done for me lately? Okay, he got to the conference finals. He's not a top 20 player of the last 50 years. I'm sorry. He's good, and he will be good, and he might be on this list at the end of his career. Probably will be, but I'm sorry. This just it's not doing it for me.
Fair enough. So Draymond Green, this is an interesting one I found last night. This was tweeted at about 10 o'clock Eastern time. I'm watching the 98 Bulls versus Utah in the finals. I can't help but notice our 2017 team would have beaten these Bulls by a dub and these Jazz by 40 if they're going to play these brands of basketball. And that's why it's dumb to compare eras.
Well, of course. I mean, he basically wanted to take a jab and then backpedaled in the same tweet. We'd beat the Jazz by 40. Yeah, probably so. But to say that you would beat maybe the greatest team of all time, or allegedly the greatest team of all time, by what is a dub? Is that 2?
I think, yeah. I'm not culturally inclined sometimes.
It would be awesome to create some kind of scientific experiment that lets people interact from different times in life, but this is another thing. Like, take your little backhand and then try to backpedal on it. Like, what's funny is it in all of this, and I know that he came out with the massive documentary, and really none of it has to do with the greatest basketball player in the world or greatest basketball teams, but you don't ever hear a peep out of Michael.
You really don't. That's true.
He just lets you guys, you can say whatever the heck you want. I'll just let the fans take care of it. He doesn't say a word.
He's too busy running the Hornets into the ground. Let's get